This is CBC Winnipeg News.
My dad was sleeping and my dad woke up to him trying to stab him.
My deepest condolences to the family right now.
A grief-stricken First Nation left mourning after a mass stabbing with multiple victims and a suspect killed trying to flee. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The community of Hollow Water First Nation is grieving tonight, trying to make sense of a tragedy that left an 18-year-old woman dead and several others in hospital, some fighting for their lives. The suspect, the young woman's 26-year-old brother, also dead. CBC's Rosanna Hempel has been speaking with family members of some of the victims.
Ambulances rush to Health Sciences Centre in Winnipeg. Family and friends wait for loved ones. Christy Williams and Jordan Hamilton say their father is among the people stabbed who survived.
I guess there was a dispute and then came back when my dad was sleeping and my dad woke up to him trying to stab him.
He was stabbed several times, but he got him in the lung, punctured his lung, and he's okay, he's talking.
The RCMP releasing details of what investigators know so far.
Early this morning, members of the Hollow Water First Nation awoke to devastating and tragic news within their very tight-knit, loving community.
Mounties say it began on Hollow Water First Nation, about 160 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. It started with an assault after 3 in the morning. Then closer to 6, a 911 call came in, reporting a possible stabbing.
8 community members ranging in age from 18 to 60 years of age had sustained injuries during this incident. We can confirm, sadly, that an 18-year-old female has died as a result of these injuries.
RCMP Superintendent Rob Lassen says she was the sister of the 26-year-old suspect, Tyrone Simard. Police allege Simard then fled in a stolen vehicle down Provincial Road 304, colliding with an RCMP cruiser just south of Black River First Nation. The incident shut down the highway for most of the day. Nicole Clark came across the crash.
It was pretty bad. The 2 vehicles were on the other side of the road and the RCMP was on the other.
Mounties say Simard died at the scene. The officer seriously injured but expected to make a full recovery.
We can say that she is a hero. We don't know the specifics yet. We will in the coming days, I'm sure. But she stopped a man on a rampage.
Premier Wab Kinew says the Manitoba government will support the First Nation that's reeling.
I'll ask the community to continue to pray for them, for their recovery. And I'll be going out there to visit them, the families. The families was very close to me.
Like, the community is all shaken up from it. It's not something that happens in Hollow Water. Like, Hollow Water isn't about this.
Hospital officials say 8 people, including the officer, are recovering in hospital. At least 1 was still in surgery Thursday afternoon as police continue to investigate. Rosanna Hempel, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Now, little is known or being shared at this time about the other victims or a potential motive for the stabbings. But the Premier says the province will be there for the community. The First Nation already indicated that crisis response teams from the Southern Chiefs Organization and one of the tribal councils are in the community to help band members. Premier Wab Kinew says his heart is with the people of Hollow Water. He says the government will be offering whatever support's needed to help the community through its healing.
A community that did nothing to deserve this, a community that's full of great people that I've had the pleasure to visit on many occasions. We will be there with a swift and strong response to ensure that there is safety in the immediate sense, but we'll also be there with the compassion and support to ensure that there's safety there in the longer term sense.
Canoe also says this incident hit a personal note for his cabinet. NDP MLA and Minister of Natural Resources Ian Bushy is from Hollow Water First Nation. Canoe did not say if Bushy is connected to any of the victims. Some Point Douglas residents are glad to hear the province is changing course on the location of a supervised drug consumption site. The central location at 200 Disraeli Freeway faced stiff opposition from many residents. The CBC's Matt Humphrey has more.
It was intended as a major tool in the fight against toxic drugs. The Point Douglas resident Christine Kirawak thinks the province's plan for a supervised consumption site at 200 Disraeli didn't take the whole neighborhood into account.
It's not just one, you're either for it or you're against it. You're either not in my backyard or yes in my backyard. It's far more than that.
Kirawak says she has deep compassion for people struggling with addiction, including people in her own life. At the same time, she has concerns about a site opening near schools and a child care center.
I think the first thing is to listen to people, all people. You know, our government representation, Wab Kinew, is not just the premier of these people, but also all people. And so it's incumbent upon him to listen.
The province says it's changing plans for the site because of the concerns raised. But Kirawak says the residents' concerns have been the same since the site was announced and wonders what's different now. The Progressive Conservatives' deputy leader, Jeff Bariza, asks the same question.
The decision not to proceed with 200 Disraeli and the Premier's rationale begs a number of questions from Manitobans. Number one, why was the location of a school across from a drug site a good idea last year, but not today?
But Addictions Minister Bernadette Smith, the MLA for Point Douglas, says the plan is getting scrapped because her government is listening.
We've taken what we've heard from community and we're instituting into the plan.
Smith didn't elaborate on where the proposed new location could be.
Community wants to make sure that there's primary health care in there, that there's treatment and recovery supports, that there's mental health supports, that people can get access to housing.
The Premier still wants 200 Disraeli to be used as a hub to help homeless people coming out of encampments. Matt Humphrey, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 32-year-old man has been charged after police say he stole thousands of dollars worth of meat. Winnipeg police say they received nearly a dozen shoplifting reports between April and June involving the pricey grocery item. Another 20 incidents were reviewed over the summer with the same suspect identified. The man has been charged with more than 30 counts of theft, totaling more than $10,000 worth of goods. The PC MLA for Interlake Gimli says Ontario Premier Doug Ford should stop taking shots at Canadian-made whiskey. Ford dumped out a bottle of Crown Royal on Tuesday to protest an announced plant closure in his province. Multinational distiller Diageo will close bottling operations near Windsor, but it's still making whiskey at its other locations, including in Gimli. Derek Johnson understands Ford's frustration. He says Manitobans support Ontario workers.
We still continue to support Ontario-made vehicles. So I guess I'm just reaching out and hopefully that provinces don't start fighting amongst ourselves and we don't cut off our nose to spite our face as Canadians. All that being said, I do definitely understand the frustrations that the Premier and the community must be going through with an announcement like they had.
Now, Johnson says if Ontario is considering pulling any whiskey from its liquor stores, it should be American whiskey. All right, let's bring in weather specialist Riley Lachuk. And Riley, again, right on forecast with that rain today.
Bit of a wet one and a bit of a cool one as expected, Brittany. A couple things I want to point out to you as we look at this damp skyline over the downtown right now. 8.9, that's as good as it got today. Normally we should be at 21 degrees, but it's this number I want you to pay attention to. 0.4 this morning at the airport. That is a new record, beating that record low temperature from 1885. But this 8.9 Also somewhat significant because this is the coldest daytime high we've had in Winnipeg since 1889, that temperature at 10.6. So not only a new record low, but also our coldest daytime high in more than a century, really looking at temperatures struggling to get out of the single digits across much of southern Manitoba. A few on the board here: Brandon, Dauphin, 10 and 12 degrees, 9 in the Paw, and we're still looking at some of that rain as this area of low pressure circulates down into North Dakota. So some heavier pockets of that. We'll talk about how long this lasts as we get into the next couple of days here, but we're looking at a mostly cloudy night tonight. By the time we get to the overnight hours, 7 degrees in the city, but as we see, there'll be a bit of a range in there. So last night ranging from 0 to 5 across the city. More like probably 5 to 7 across much of the city as we get through the night. Tonight, some sunny breaks into the morning, Brittany. Maybe a few isolated showers to come, but a lot brighter as we get into your Friday.
And double digits again.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, it's back to school for some students. The first thing they had to learn was the city's new bus routes. We'll tell you how it went after the break. For some Winnipeg students, this school year includes a crash course on riding the bus. The change to the city's new network led Winnipeg Transit to cancel its charter services to school divisions. As CBC's Cameron McLean reports, that has some divisions making alternative plans.
The end of the day, and students at Pembina Trails Collegiate are heading home. Last year, grade 10 student Mira Lays took a charter to school. This year, she's catching the regular bus.
Taking the regular bus it's more unpredictable.
And whereas before with the charter bus?
It always came at the same time to the same place. Yeah.
And how did it work? Did it come to your house or did you have to go to a stop?
Oh, well, it was a stop, but the stops were made to be near our houses.
Transit used to offer 28 charter services to carry students to class, meant to fill gaps in the network where schools did not have a nearby bus route. But with the new network and the goal of increasing frequency on routes, Transit needed those buses back.
Sometimes it's busy and there's a lot of people.
Uliana Kuprianova has taken the bus for 2 years and says the new network makes her journey easier.
It's easier because the stops are closer to the school, they're closer to my house, and it takes less time to get from one point to another.
Pembina Trails School Division had 4 charter buses, 2 serving Shaftesbury High School, and 1 each for Oak Park and Pembina Trails.
A lot of our buses were full.
Assistant Superintendent Troy Scott says the new network added a route that closely matched the one for Pembina Trails, but it hired private charters to continue the service for Shaftesbury and Oak Park.
With the new transit network, if you wanted to take a bus from Linden Woods to Shaftesbury or Oak Park, it required 3 buses. 2 transfers, 3 buses.
Other divisions like Seven Oaks have also hired private companies. Superintendent Tony Kreml says the decision came after consultations with parents.
With regards to safety and their children getting on a transit bus was something that they were having a difficult time with.
A spokesperson for Transit says its new network was designed to serve everyone and provide services to schools without the need for charters. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Rules around cell phones in classrooms are not changing for the start of the school year here in Manitoba. Students from kindergarten to grade 8 are barred from using cell phones during school hours. But in high school, the devices can be used during breaks and lunchtimes. The Education Minister spoke with Information Radio's Marcy Marcusa this morning. She says the restrictions have been a success and there are no plans to expand them.
What we're hearing right now is that I think we have struck the right balance. We're not hearing a lot of demand for change from the policy right now from the sector, from students or from teachers. That being said, again, we're a listening government. It's an ongoing dialogue, and we'll do what works for teachers and kids.
This is the second year students are under the cell phone ban. Well, it is back to school, but this September for some, it's back to a new school. Bells rang out for the first time this morning at a French immersion school in Sage Creek. Now, the school is so new, it doesn't even have its official name yet. CBC's Zubina Ahmed has more.
A mix of excitement and nerves. Students in Sage Creek stepped into a new school today. École Sage Creek Bonavista is a French immersion K-8 school in the neighborhood. It can accommodate almost 800 students along with 80 staff members.
Big smile. Cheese.
Students were looking forward to the first day.
I've been inside yesterday to see what my class looks like.
And?
It would look great.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be good about this school?
The gym.
Yeah, how come?
Because there's a big one and a small one. I can't wait to go to a new school. It's going to be exciting and I get to make new friends. It's awesome. It's massive. I like the gyms. They're cool. And yeah, I'm excited. It's way better and there's a field, a pump track and a new basketball court. Everything's bigger.
Parents were impressed with the school's design, size and architecture.
Got a tour the other day for parent conference, and I have to say inside it's aesthetically pleasing. It's beautiful, it's large. The classroom setups, they look very well done. The building itself is just so great. I just can't believe all the work and the detail they put into it.
Like every class has their own, the lobby area, the new chairs, new sitting area, new play structure, and it's all amazing, very attractive for the kids.
Principal Cam Johnson says the school will soon be renamed to honor the legacy of Justice Murray Sinclair, a well-known Anishinaabe judge, senator, and advocate. Johnson says it was chosen to honor his great achievements and impact.
We surveyed community in the last year, January, February-ish, and pretty resounding feedback was Murray Sinclair, to name it, inspired by Murray Sinclair and his name.
Johnson says to follow protocols, the new name will be officially revealed around November, a year after his passing. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And Riley is back in now. And boy, oh boy, do I hope that back-to-school shopping included maybe a new jacket or sweater, because it has been a chilly start.
Saw some kids with toques in that item there. Certainly needed this morning with some of those chilly temperatures across southern Manitoba. Some reports of frost in a couple of communities in the southern Interlake early this morning as well. So sign of the changing seasons. I want to start big picture and explain what's going on here. So a look at our upper level winds, and you can really see this defined trough in the jet stream here, and how it's really introduced some cooler air over parts of Manitoba and into northwestern Ontario. So there's an upper low that sits about right here, and it's pushing some northwesterly air around that counterclockwise rotation back down into southern Manitoba off of Hudson Bay once again. So that is what has really helped to cool temperatures and enhance some of those overnight temperatures closer to, and even in some cases below, the freezing mark through the day today. In the west, a ridge of high pressure still in place, keeping things very hot on the west coast, and a bit of a ridge on the east coast as well, which has kept temperatures above seasonal to the east of us as well. Closer to the surface, a couple of areas of low pressure, one off into northwestern Ontario, one that sits about right here at the moment, and that is what's led to some rain across parts of the south today. Parts of central Manitoba have seen some numbers into the Parkland, into the Swan Valley, up to 10 to 15 millimeters of rain, more like 5 to 10 as expected into parts of southern and central Manitoba, the further east you went throughout the day today. So as this low pushes south and eastward, that rain does taper off as we get through the overnight hours, so more like a mostly cloudy sky through the overnight hours tonight. Then we're back into a mix of sun and clouds as we get through Friday. However, northeastern parts of the province still into the rain from this second low that's off into far northern Ontario as we get through Friday. Maybe a few isolated showers yet to come, but as we get into Saturday, you can see some of these streamers here. As that low departs into North Dakota, behind that, some very strong northwesterly winds, and with some of the warmer temperatures still in our large lakes, Lake Manitoba and Lake Winnipeg, with some of that cooler air, we could get into a scenario where we see some lake effect showers even as we get through Friday into Saturday. So I have put a chance of isolated showers in the forecast for Winnipeg, but on the corners of the lakes, the southeastern corners of the lakes, you could see some enhanced rainfall totals to come, and you can kind of see that depicted here on this rainfall projection. Really negligible rain yet to come, but where we do see some of that lake effect with some of these strong winds, we could get into a situation where we get into another 25 or 30 millimeters of rain. So winds as we get into the afternoon tomorrow, 40 gusting 60 in some cases, 30 gusting 50 in Winnipeg. Bit warmer as we get into the afternoon on Friday, 14 in Winnipeg, 13 in Brandon. And in the long range, Brittany, Banjo Bowl, 15 degrees for Winnipeg, and then we start to warm up as we get into next week once again.
Look at that, almost summer again.
No kidding.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, here's a look at St. Claude from above. As we head to break, we have much more straight ahead. Stay with us. It's the second day of meetings between the Prime Minister and his cabinet. It comes amid growing concerns about the U.S. trade war and government spending. Ashley Burke has more on the meeting that's taking place less than 2 weeks before Parliament resumes.
A sense of urgency from cabinet ministers on day 2 of talks.
People want us to be in action mode, and I think that there is urgency, and particularly when it comes to the economy.
Upheaval in Canada's economy, the result of Donald Trump's trade war.
Is there any sign from the Trump administration that they're open to easing up tariffs that are hitting some Canadian sectors hard?
Steel, aluminum, automobiles, softwood lumber. It's those sectoral tariffs where we are, in many cases, the most integrated of any trading partner with the United States, and they're causing enormous economic hardship to Canada.
Dominic LeBlanc says trade talks with the U.S. are now technical, focusing on reaching deals for different sectors.
A series of small deals that cumulatively would put us in a better position than right now.
As that work continues, the finance minister is working on reining in government spending.
Will there be tough choices to make? Definitely. Is the nation ready? I would say yes.
He's facing questions about potential cuts and layoffs after the Prime Minister said the budget would be about investment, but also austerity.
There'll be adjustment in different places, but at the same time, we're going to be empathic to make sure that we're always there for Canadians.
The Conservatives leader describing the government as way too big and bloated.
The government has become a big fat man. It's time to put that government on a diet.
The Prime Minister said during these 2 days of talks here, he was sitting down with ministers to find efficiencies. But the Finance Minister is being tight-lipped about the details. His budget is expected next month. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Toronto.
The latest data from Statistics Canada shows the country's trade deficit shrank in July. Most of it thanks to an increase in energy and car exports. Donald Trump's tariffs have forced many businesses to alter their supply chains and seek other markets. But the ongoing trade war with Canada's closest neighbor leaves the future uncertain. CBC's Anis Hadari reports.
The gap between the amount Canada sells to the world and how much it buys from the world was smaller in July compared to the month before. Canadian exports of merchandise went up 0.9%.
I would say general impression was that the July figures weren't as bad as feared, and so they do put Canada kind of on track for potentially modest growth in the third quarter, although it's still obviously quite early in the quarter to be able to tell definitively.
Energy exports went up, including oil and coal. That's after crude oil exports fell the month before. And it wasn't just higher prices driving things upward. A higher volume of exported crude oil was part of July's increase. Motor vehicle exports also up, though that is also factoring in that usually automotive production would slow down in the summer, and this summer it didn't because tariffs had already caused a big slowdown earlier. So when you factor in that June was already slower, July saw more cars and autos sold to the United States in particular. And the trade relationship with the U.S. is still in focus here. One example, some aluminum exports down 31%. And while overall exports to the U.S. are up in July for the third month in a row, they are still down compared to last year. So how trading continues with Canada's largest trading partner remains a question mark.
I think abnormality is kind of the new normal here, but hopefully we do get to some sort of normal or some sort of stability here when we hopefully, fingers crossed, get some sort of a trade deal with the U.S. Of course, that's not going to totally remove all uncertainty. We're still in a very weird, highly uncertain time.
One number worth noting in the other direction, in this latest data, imports to Canada from the United States fell for the fourth time in 5 months. Anis Hadari, CBC News, Calgary.
In Portugal's capital, the Transit Authority has shut down all streetcars to carry out immediate inspection. Wednesday's deadly funicular crash killed at least 16 people and injured 21 others. Global Affairs says 2 Canadians are missing since the incident. Authorities are still investigating what caused the popular streetcar to careen down a hill and crash into a building. The mangled wreckage of the yellow funicular shows where it left the track at the bottom of the steep 265-meter slope. Officials say the traction cable linking them had snapped. Portugal's government has announced a national day of mourning for Thursday. An Ebola outbreak in Congo has led to the deaths of at least 15 people. Health officials detected the outbreak when a pregnant woman was admitted to hospital with symptoms of the disease and later died of organ failure. That included high fever and vomiting. Health officials believe case numbers will increase, but the World Health Organization says it's working to stop the spread. The country has had at least 15 outbreaks, so it already has a stockpile of treatments, including vaccines. U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was in the crosshairs at a Senate committee hearing, with criticism revolving around the new COVID vaccination policy and just what Kennedy's position on them is. The CBC's Willie Lowry reports.
Robert Kennedy Jr.'s face-off with the Senate Finance Committee heated. Kennedy there to discuss President Trump's health agenda, but the question of vaccines was front and center. Kennedy, of course, has a long history of questioning vaccines and has overseen a dramatic overhaul of the CDC. Now, that's the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Just days ago, he fired the Trump-appointed head of the organization. In June, he fired members of a vaccine advisory panel, raising concern among Democrats and even some Republicans of who he will replace them with.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job.
Now, that's not how many of the Democratic senators at the hearing viewed things. In fact, there were multiple calls for Kennedy to resign.
You promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is everyone who wants it. That was your promise,
No, I didn't.
Kennedy,
I never
mine.
promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
Clearly a spirited debate. It's important to note here, though, that while it was primarily Democrats raising the alarm, a few Republican senators also expressed concern. At the heart of all of this is vaccines and just how accessible they'll be under President Trump. Kennedy, whose department no longer recommends the COVID shot, insisted that it would still be available. Now, while the bulk of questions focused on vaccines, there was also some interesting exchanges around the pandemic.
Do you accept the fact that 1 million Americans died from COVID? I don't know how many died. You're the Secretary of Health and Human Services. You don't have any idea how many Americans died from COVID?
Lawmakers repeatedly hammering Kennedy over his short tenure as head of Health and Human Services and his future in the role. Willie Lowry, CBC News, Washington.
Add another threat in Canada that scientists are blaming on climate change. It's a virus relatively new to human populations here, and it remains rare. But that may change. The CBC's Jennifer Yoon has that story.
A rare but potentially deadly virus spread by a mosquito bite. There's a new case of Eastern equine encephalitis virus in Hamilton, Ontario.
While this is normally identified in horses in rural areas, there is the possibility for spread to humans.
The virus killed one person in Ottawa last year. Infections are becoming more frequent, with a handful of cases in recent years, according to experts. Symptoms can include fever, headache, and seizures. Once the virus reaches the brain, it kills about 1 in 3 people infected. There's no cure or vaccine available for humans.
EEE is one of the deadliest mosquito-borne brain infections in the United States.
On average, it's reported to infect about 11 Americans each year. Now experts fear the disease is settling north of the border.
This infection is still, for the moment, rare. But for all we know, this single case in Hamilton may be the canary in the coal mine.
I had never wanted to see triple E, in humans, and here we have it.
Climate change is to blame, say experts, with mosquito populations moving with a warming climate.
We are getting so many range expansions of mosquitoes that we're just trying to play catch up all the time.
Scientists are urging vigilance.
We can't just say, oh, there's only one case, we've dodged the bullet, we're going to go into winter, we don't have to worry about it again. Because mosquitoes and viruses and germs, they're very resilient.
And there are ways to protect yourself.
To wear long, light-colored pants and sleeves, wear deep-containing bug sprays, to manage any standing pools of water that they might have on their property.
At least for this season, until the weather gets colder and the mosquitoes die off. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
One of the most recognizable figures in the global fashion industry has died. Italian designer Giorgio Armani passed away today. Starting with an unlined jacket, a simple pair of pants, and an urban palette, Armani put Italian ready-to-wear style on the international fashion map in the late 1970s. He soon turned the concept of understated elegance into a multi-billion-dollar fashion empire. In addition to clothing, his empire included accessories, home furnishings, perfumes, cosmetics, books, flowers, and even chocolates. Armani's net worth was estimated to be more than 13 billion Canadian dollars. He died at his home in Milan. He was 91. Coming up, after 4 teens were arrested in an armed robbery, police say retail crime is no longer a matter of survival, but part of organized crime. We'll have more on that after the break. Police call it a shocking daytime armed robbery at a busy Unicity Walmart. 4 teens ranging in age between 13 and 17 years old were seen taking backpacks and stuffing them with items from the shelves. But when security intervened, officers say one of the teens pulled out a gun and fired, narrowly missing a guard's head. Now, fortunately, the gun was a CO2-propelled air gun and no one was injured. But it's left many people shaken. Inspector Max Waddell spoke with Faith Fundel on Up to Speed. Now, Waddell called the youth misguided and lost, but also spoke more about the motive behind many retail thefts in our city.
When we do apprehend individuals, whether they're youth or adults, for these types of crimes, they're not saying they are stealing for survival because they need a loaf of bread or they need a jug of milk. That's not what's being stolen here. What's being stolen is high-value items that can be easily turned around in the illicit community to either buy illicit drugs, buy firearms. It's a monetary value that is in the underground market right now. And I truly believe the majority, and not in all cases, the majority is being used for illicit means for further gain.
Why do you think it's important for the public to appreciate that nuance, that difference in I'm stealing because I'm hungry versus I'm stealing because I want the things to be sold and that money to be used elsewhere?
Well, I think if people better understand the true landscape, they will be more supportive for change. And I truly believe that we need to put pressure on our federal government to make changes with the Criminal Code of Canada to hold those who continually, repeatedly break the law responsible for these heinous acts.
And part of that is what you're describing as organized crime. What do you mean when you say that organized crime is at play here?
Well, the amount of shoplifting that goes on daily, weekly, monthly, yearly is a staggering number. And I don't believe for one second that these are just a bunch of single individuals that are committing these acts. We have conducted investigations in the past. We have talked to individuals who have been arrested before. We have ways to gather information and intelligence. And what we've learned from that is that groups are organizing adults used to commit these acts so that they will not be held accountable. And they're using these individuals to further propel their goals and gains ahead by selling these products, getting the money, whether it's buying illicit drugs or other stolen items.
What is the police service doing to arrest and successfully prosecute the heads of these organized crime groups or the people who are doing this?
So that would be a two-part answer. First and foremost, we are very much an intelligence-led police service where we look at crime statistics and we deploy accordingly.
Right, so you don't just randomly send folks places and make arrests right away.
We do not. That's why we were already in the area at Unicity, because we've identified that area as an area that has had significant challenges as of late. And thankfully we were there, because we all know if we weren't there, it could have escalated even further. The second part, what police are doing, whether it's locally through the Manitoba Association of Chiefs of Police or the Canadian Associations of Chiefs of Police, we're lobbying the federal government to make changes to the criminal code that will prevent individuals who repeatedly commit crimes from getting bail. And this is the ultimate goal, to prevent this from happening.
Riley is back in now, and I know you will get to our dog walk, but fortunately I was able to get out from my walk just under the guns this morning.
There you go.
Before that rain started, and like you always say, just as forecasted.
It's the
right
small
on the
winds,
money.
right? It's the small winds
You
getting
gotta
home.
take it.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, we have seen quite the spread of rainfall amounts so far as we've gotten throughout the day today. I've got some of them here. These are from the Manitoba Ag Station. So there's quite a few of these across southern Manitoba. I've picked a few of them, none of them inside the city of Winnipeg, but we do see a couple of numbers from just outside the city to maybe give us a bit of a sense at how much rain has fallen inside the city throughout the day. So just under 9 millimeters as of 6 p.m. In Starbuck, but just under 2 millimeters in Selkirk, for example. And this is radar-derived modeling that you're seeing on the map here with the green shading. So this gives us a modeling sense of where some of this heavier rain has fallen throughout the day today. As forecast through the Parkland, 10 to 15 millimeters into parts of the Swan Valley today. Neepawa, 13 millimeters, 6 in Brandon as of 6 o'clock this afternoon. Yeah, I know, usually we do the dog walking forecast, but I thought with the rain we would maybe do the cat nap today, just because this is probably what I'm going to be doing after work. Instead of being outside in the dampness, maybe I'll just stay in tonight. This is Penny. Thank you, Angela, for sending your cute cat in. You can send yours to talkback at cbc.ca. As always, I love seeing them all. Do expect some sunnier skies tomorrow. Peaks of sunshine in the morning, a bit of a sunnier sky into the afternoon, but that chance of seeing a few isolated showers as we get through the afternoon into the evening on Friday, but particularly I think on Saturdays when we have the best chance of seeing some of that at 14 degrees in the afternoon. Gusty northwesterly wind as we get through the afternoon hours tomorrow. So we're still in this trough here in the jet stream, allowing some of that cool Arctic air into southern Manitoba and parts of Saskatchewan. And this pattern holds in place through the weekend. So the Banjo Bowl looking below seasonal, albeit maybe sunnier than it was today, for example, as that game starts Saturday afternoon. But as we get into Sunday, you can start to see a ridge starting to build in the jet stream here. And as we get into next week, this will help get some of our temperatures back towards seasonal for this time of the year, which is 21 degrees by the time we get to the beginning, but certainly toward the middle of next week. So your overnight temperatures warmer than they were last night, 4s and 5s in the west. Cloudier skies in the Red River Valley, so 6s and 7s overnight tonight. Mostly cloudy skies, start to get some clearing into northern Manitoba, 2 in Thompson, 4 in Gillam, and we get some sunshine tomorrow. Maybe a few scattered showers out of some of this cloud cover, 14 in Grand Rapids and Norway House, and Brittany through the south tomorrow. A few clouds, maybe some scattered showers, 13s and 14s across much of the south. Your 7-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, from tornadoes to wildfires, it's been a summer full of severe weather on the prairies. But at a time when AI is becoming more accessible, can we really trust every weather image we see online? CBC's Helena Mahalik brings us that story.
My gosh, massive tornado. Is this video real? What about this one? How can we tell the difference? When severe storms hit, you may be stopping to take a photo of the funnel clouds or the hail. In Canada, Storm Chasers and Environment Canada rely on public's videos and photos for weather information. But in recent years, people have started editing storm images, using AI to create fake weather events, or using real photos, but lying about the date and time an image was taken. Environment Canada says that poses a risk to public safety.
I guess it could result in maybe an alert or a storm report that ends up being false, but we might issue a warning saying, oh, we've had this report from this place of hail this size or trees down or whatever it is, and then if we find out later that wasn't true, well, now we've issued that warning as like a false alarm. So it's not good.
Take this photo, for example. That's a real tornado that actually touched down, but the person who submitted it intentionally lied about the details.
It was a real photo of a real tornado, but it was just from a different place. Like it was from Texas, and it was sort of sent in as like, oh, this just happened. This was in Ontario. Like this just happened in southwestern Ontario, and it was a real photo, but we were able to just find right away that it was from this like newspaper article in Texas.
Storm chasers say an influx of false weather reports and images is beginning to affect the credibility of everyone in the field.
So storm chasers will spend years honing their skills and capturing these real moments. So AI kind of diminishes the value of those efforts. It also kind of undermines the expertise that we kind of bring.
Hagen uses this image that was widely circulated on social media last year as one example.
Storm chaser had just compiled a bunch of different images together of a tornado that he had shot to show kind of the progression in the different stages. And, people started sharing that as 5 tornadoes touched down at once, So it's not only just the AI generated images, it's also, images being shared in false pretenses.
Technology experts say even the metadata, that's the date, time, and location a photo was taken that you can view, can now be manipulated.
Now that becomes meaningless, because if you look at what used to be, important information, the picture, the moving image, and the audio could be generated by AI. So that kind of level of proof is now gone. So I think that's going to be a real loss.
So how can you spot a fake photo or video? Experts say look for bold pops of color, unusual contours or lines in clouds and landscapes, and using critical thinking skills to think twice about what you're looking at.
Still ahead, coming face to face with yourself. The reaction a British actor had facing their wax replica when we come back. Stay with us. British actor Bella Ramsey has faced zombies many times in the TV show The Last of Us, but coming face to face with a Madame Tussauds wax look-alike is a first for them.
I was going to be in like shorts and a t-shirt and my trainers because I'm like, that's me. But then I was told that I'd be in this like fancy area with fancy people. So I was like, oh, I should probably be a bit fancier. So I'm wearing the Last of Us Season 2 premiere outfit.
Ramsey, who's also starring Game of Thrones, called the whole experience surreal. The actor plays a survivor in HBO drama The Last of Us. Now, the show has been nominated for 16 Primetime Emmys this year. Ramsey's also in the running for Outstanding Lead Actress. Those take place September 14th.
Very interesting. Okay, as we get into your Friday, expect a bit of a warmer day than we saw today. Maybe a few isolated showers. I think a better chance for that coming as we get into Saturday, but you'll really notice the wind tomorrow, northwest 30 gusting to 50 as we get into the afternoon hours. And that sunset ever so close to 8 o'clock now at 8:02. So as we get into Friday, Saturday, temperatures remaining below seasonal for this time of the year. Mix of sun and clouds for the most part, but there is that chance that we'll get into maybe a few isolated showers as we get into Friday and Saturday. By Sunday, we start to see that pattern change. So 18 degrees under a mainly sunny sky. And then look at this, back towards seasonal and above seasonal by the time we get to next week. A real estate listing north of Toronto is turning heads, not just for the house, Brittany, but for its unusual residents.
Okay, we're not quite at spooky season yet, but our daily lift might just give you the creeps. This two-bedroom bungalow is registered as a heritage home in Richmond Hill, Ontario. The listing describes the nearly $900,000 property as a great place for someone looking for a project. But it's not the stained glass windows or the rustic charm that people are commenting on. It's the dolls. The photo tour of the home shows them positioned well everywhere, seated in the living room, standing in the kitchen. They're also on the beds in the bathtub.
The listing describes the home as a great property for someone who is looking for a project. Creepy or charming, at least it's giving potential buyers plenty to play with here. There's no word, though, on if the dolls come with the house. I don't know if I would want the dolls with the house.
I don't know.
You want the dolls?
Personally, no, but hey, maybe they're collector's edition.
Yeah, exactly. That could be worth something.
Right?
Could be worth
Maybe that'll help pay off the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one.